to work on the Trike today, and we have a very exciting box here of parts from Atkins Rotary. And what we've got here is a super sick intake manifold and carburetor setup.
Oh shoot!
This way we don't have to have a computer, so less electronics and crap on here, and it'll just be way easier to get it running, which is another, very important factor. We can get it done a lot sooner. So it's just got a Weber carburetor, an air filter, and then a wraparound intake manifold. So it'll take up a little less space than what's here, but roughly the same, shape and size. And it just looks so much cleaner.
So we're working on the Trike again, and we're gonna put this beauty on today just to test fit it and make sure the mounts in the body's gonna fit it, which it should. And then the plan is to take the motor out and put the seals in. Now that I took it off, I'm realizing how big of an upgrade this is. This is like heavy. I'm like bracing my arm, and then this is like an ounce. So that's a huge upgrade. Also, look at how many like little pieces and fittings, air hoses. This is madness. And this is like clean and sleek. And once we put this on, I guess with the new cap, we'd kind of be able to crank this thing over is what we're thinking. And look at that, wow.
Yes.
I want that space, that's okay, we'll live with that. It's so much smaller.
It's so much smaller.
I hope everyone with a rotary is like getting one of these now.
So this video is sponsored by Smart Jars, which is perfect because Smart Jars are for organizing stuff, and we always need more organizing because the shop is perpetually a disaster. These things are awesome. They're, little jars for organizing nuts and bolts and screws. Smart Jars are made in America, which is awesome, and the docks for them will fit into any standard pegboard with 1/4-inch holes. And they come in a variety of colors. This is what finding the right size of nut normally looks like. Rummaging through a pile of them. Got a few jars here all full of nuts. Way more organized. And outside of the garage, they're great for organizing camera gear, pieces of drone, and Legos, all kinds of things. So if you want to get organized, go to smartjars.com, and if you use promo code GRINDHARD, you'll get 20% off.
So just like that, it's out, it's resealed and back in. So, I mean, it's basically ready to start if we had a distributor and some wires and stuff. But we got the carburetor on there as well, and that looks cool. We have extra arm room now. You can clap on top. But yeah, that's what we got today. So I'll probably start on the seat next.
Dang. That's the nicest seat we've bought for anything.
Yeah, and it's also crazy cheap for considering all of that. And incredibly light. Oh yeah. Proper aluminum race seat for the drift trike. If I can get into this
Oh, that looks like it hugs the sides really well.
Yeah, and we can like lean it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we got this bar here, and then that's gonna sneak up to the edge of the seat, and then we'll have a tab or a couple tabs that will go underneath so we don't see the hardware. So we got this bar in the front mounts done. Added a little bit of an angle to it to try to tie it into some of the other triangles and shapes we got going on, and then that just has the 3 bolts underneath. I had this plate underneath just to get a little bit of space over the diff, and now I'm on the back mounts. So these are pretty simple. Just gonna go like that, and then yeah, we'll be able to slide that that plate out, and that will be that. We got these brackets made up and tacked on, so that's officially mounted, and now, you know, that gives us a baseline to figure out what we want to do for the handlebars. So I'll sit in it for no reason other than I want to. So then we'll be able to figure out feet, be able to figure out handlebar location, and then probably, you know, throttle and pedals. Also, after I mounted this, then 2 little tabs, mounted the coils under here. So hopefully we'll be firing this thing up pretty shortly.
So in the interest of being able to start the Trike soon, we have a radiator for it because, you know, we don't want to start it up and then immediately blow it up. So cooling's a good idea. So this is just a generic 30-inch wide radiator. It should be enough cooling, I think, at least for short periods of time. If not, we'll, you know, we'll do something else. But it came with 2 of these little fans, so we'll mount those on the back of it. And the cool thing is we can mount 2 of them now, and then we could add a 3rd one later if we need it. Radiator's going right about there. And then, of course, we've got coolant tubes here and here, and then those will run all the way up to the front of the engine where the water pump is. Got the radiator mounted here. It was surprisingly easy because of these tabs that were already on the side of it. I just bent them out a little bit more to space it back a little bit, and then made a steel plate on each side and tacked that onto the frame. So good and sturdy. And then these are just stuck in there with the little zip ties they come with, but I'll make some little tabs to actually bolt them in place with these little things. And I figured put them in the middle where there's less naturally occurring airflow, so that they can help with that. And then the outsides of it, there is actually pretty good space in front of it, so there, in theory, will be lots of airflow there. So now I basically just need to find some tubing that's the right diameter for a new outlet, and I'll probably move them either up or down a little bit so I can angle them to have a less tight of a bend with the rubber tubing to connect it. closer to being able to start and then ultimately drive this thing. Obviously got the radiator mounted on the back, got the coolant lines hooked up to the rear end of the frame tubes, and got the front hooked up as well. So the outlet of the water pump here is really easy, just a little elbow of rubber and then a short chunk of relatively thin wall 1.5-inch tubing. The other end was a little more complicated just because it was pointed down and forward to go to a radiator here. So I used some bends of exhaust tubing. I think that's actually leftovers from the Camaro's exhaust, so that's kind of cool. Just hose here, piece of steel tubing up to here, another piece of hose for, you know, flexibility, and then a little piece of more tubing welded to the frame there, and of course hole sawed in there so that the coolant can go through. So obviously the biggest step towards getting this thing to run is this awesome intake manifold and carburetor setup from Atkins Rotary. So huge shout out to Atkins Rotary for sending that to us. That'll just make it so much easier to get this thing to run rather than dealing with a fuel injection system from the 80s on a rotary. That sounds like a nightmare. So this, we basically just need fuel line in and throttle cable, and it should start. Next episode, we should be able to get this thing to run, or at least attempt to, and maybe blow it up. Hopefully not. There's no reason we'd blow it up. But we've got a sweet seat to sit in, so it's comfortable now. Now we just need some footboards, some controls, and some vroom vrooms.